If you read the title, you know why we're here. I'm gonna give you 10, that's right, because we're in kindergarten, 10 fat loss tips that anybody can implement. So before I start the list, I'm gonna tell you what this list is not going to be. I'm not going to tell you to put your food on a smaller plate to trick your brain into thinking that you're eating more, because we all know that an hour after eating, your stomach knows whether you're still hungry or not. I'm also not gonna tell you to drink more water or get more sleep, because we all know that we should probably be doing those things anyway, and what I'm going to talk about in this list pertains more to food than anything else. Number 1 is one of my favorites. It's something that took me years to learn and is very important to not only your physical but your mental health as well, and that is no crash diets. So crash diet is where you severely restrict your calories for a period of time, and you can lose a lot of weight very quickly, and a lot of it's going to be water weight, but you can also lose some fat as well. Pretty much guaranteed you're going to gain it back. That kind of dieting usually leads to spikes in your appetite, spikes in your cravings, gaining back a lot of weight really quickly. Just in general, it's not a good idea, and I recommend that people steer clear of it. It usually does more damage than good. Number 2 is to make sure that your cheats or your junk food are guilt-free. And if you've been restricting yourself during the week and you're having a cheat meal or a cheat day, make sure that you're not guilting yourself over it, because that usually leads to that cheat overflowing into the next day and just extending itself from there. If you are choosing to indulge in these high-calorie meals or days, just make sure that they're rare enough that they're not actually cutting into your fat loss in the long run. If you're feeling super deprived in the period up to your cheat, then it might be time to take a look at what the rest of your diet looks like. Maybe you're going too low calorie. Are you depriving yourself of certain things that are causing spikes in cravings? Overall, it should be something that you enjoy and that allows you to stick to the plan that you're on for a longer period of time. Number 3, I told you that I wasn't going to tell you to drink more water, but I am going to tell you to start cutting out high-calorie drinks. So this is soda, juice, alcohol, sorry. You don't have to cut it out completely, but cut back on it. Especially with juices, I do actually enjoy juice and I like flavored things. So what I've found is if I just cut them with seltzer or flavored seltzer, I can still get something that tastes decent but doesn't have a couple hundred calories in it. Alcohol is kind of a triple whammy, because not only is it extra calories that you're not getting any nutrition from, but it can also slow down fat loss. And if you've been drinking, typically you make worse food choices and eat more. I don't know about you, but chili dogs taste really good when I'm drunk. A couple different things to try would either be limiting the number of days per week that you're drinking, or limiting the number of drinks per night that you're having, or making the drinks weaker so that there's less alcohol in them, but making sure that you're not replacing that with too much juice or soda. Okay, let's get back to food. Number 4 is going to be about vegetables. I'm so sorry, you've probably already heard this a million times, but if you're not listening already, get started. One of the easiest things that you can do to keep yourself fuller longer is to put more vegetables on your plate. So sometimes I'll just add a second serving if I know I'm really hungry. It's one of the few snacks that I endorse between meals. I'm sort of a green bean monster, so I will just snack on raw green beans. Sometimes I have been known to eat them in my car, which apparently not a lot of people are used to seeing, so I've gotten some funny looks for it. The important thing here is not to smother them in butter and oil and dressing and things like that. If you need some tips for a low-fat dressing, let me know, because I am all up in that. Number 5, sorry, is also about vegetables. It's something that's great to have on hand, ready to go, so that when you're rummaging through the fridge or the pantry, because I know you like to do it too, it's something that is a great go-to snack. It's also a good measurement to see if you're actually hungry, and if you'll go for the carrots over the chips, it means that you're probably genuinely hungry and not emotional eating or eating out of boredom, or like me, procrastinating, which is when I put off doing a task that I don't want to do by getting hungry. Okay, we're on to number 6. We're using both hands now. This is related to not smothering your vegetables in fat. Typically, it's not a good idea to smother anything. Try to limit the amount of added fat, salt, and sugar in your diet. I don't recommend cutting them out altogether, because you should be getting a certain amount of fat in your diet to stay healthy, and you also don't want your food to taste like shit. So you can make it tasty, but just don't go overboard because then it's pretty easy to overeat. For number 7, I'm going to take away all of your fun and tell you to eat out less. You don't have to cut it out altogether, but you should limit the number of times that you go out for a couple of reasons. It can be very hard to tell how many calories are actually on your plate, especially because the chef has no interest in your weight loss goals. They're trying to make the food taste as good as possible, so there's typically a lot of what we just mentioned, added fat, salt, and sugar. It makes the food in front of you taste better, so you want to eat more of it, and also it's very calorie dense, so it's easy to go overboard. Number 8 is also something that I had a really hard time coming to grips with. Don't use exercise as an excuse to eat more. Typically, we underestimate how many calories we've burned, and it's something that's pretty hard to measure. Then we also overestimate how many calories we're eating afterwards. If you're tracking calories, I don't recommend that you track exercise. Just do it and let it give you an extra added boost. To put it another way, don't use food as a reward for exercising. Okay, number 9, we're almost there. So this is something that I sort of alluded to before. I said I don't endorse a lot of different types of snacks. I also don't really endorse snacking too much in general, so stop snacking so much. Most of us will have no problem going a couple of hours between meals. You just need to stick it out, and then you get to have a bigger meal. Number 10 is one of the all-time most important fat loss tips that I can give you. If you're in a caloric deficit, it means that you're going to be losing weight. It also means that you're going to be a little bit hungry. You'll probably be a little bit hungrier than usual between meals. You will probably feel a little bit hungry going to bed. You shouldn't feel like you're starving all the time because that probably means you went too low calorie, and that can lead to, as we mentioned in number 1, crash dieting, spikes in appetite and spikes in cravings, and can lead to overeating. But you should realize that you're going to feel a little more hungry than usual between meals, maybe going to bed. Even though it can be uncomfortable, you should also realize that it doesn't mean that you have to eat right away. This is essentially why most lists of fat loss tips will tell you to drink more water, eat more vegetables, things like that. They're trying to limit hunger. If you're losing weight in a more sustainable way, it probably means that you're taking a longer period of time to do it, and you're going to be spending a longer period of time in a caloric deficit. That means that your hunger pangs are not going to go away in the near future, and it's something that you should learn to accept and to get comfortable as you can be. If it's pushing you to the point of discomfort where you feel like your day or even your sleep is being interrupted by these intense feelings of hunger or cravings, then it's probably time to reevaluate. I don't want to go too in-depth in this video because it's long enough, but if you want any additional tips on how I use mindfulness to combat hunger when I'm dieting, then just shoot me a message and let me know. Okay, so that's all 10. I really hope this has been helpful, and if you have any questions or comments, feel free to let me know.